Hey there, everyone. It's Doug, and I'm running for president 2028. Oh my lord, how much has changed in a short period of time. We have, well, I guess it hasn't been a short period of time, but we've had a lot of events over the weekend. We've had the Houthis attacking the USS Roosevelt in the Red Sea. We've had U.S. Responding to those attacks and taking out those attacks, and then going back and firing on the Houthis there in Yemen and destroying a lot of infrastructure. The United States, we're trying very hard to reduce as many deaths as possible when we do those attacks, and yet it's very frustrating because we're having other world leaders and their proxies sitting there telling us, oh, we shouldn't be doing that, even though we were the ones who were attacked. Why shouldn't we have the right to attack back? We should. And the United States did. Um, the equivalent to Secretary of State for the United States, Mark Rubio's Russian counterpart, Lavrov, condemned the U.S. attack on the Houthis. And yet, we provided hundreds of millions of dollars to Iran, which is the money that is being used to attack us. It boggles the mind that we're having to have conversations on things that at one point we thought we had solved, and our political environment changed, and then everything got thrown away and scrapped and turned into something else. And what are we to do? It's Republicans on this side, Democrats on that side, and they're trying to get further and further apart. You have AOC over here saying the continuing resolution that was presented is bad, and so the Senate needs to not approve it and go to something else. And the Democrats are seemingly being very united in their own personal message, but is it the message that the United States government needs to take? Is it one that's best for the people of the United States? It might be good for AOC, but is it good for the constituents for Rand Paul? Is it good for the constituents for Mike Lee? Is it good for the constituents of Senator Kennedy? Is it good for the people of the state of California? Is it good for the people of the state of New York? Is it good for the territories of the United States? It's all a power grab up there in DC right now. And we have people who are so entrenched in, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, that they're not seeing that they're just not seeing that it's America that matters, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, The United States of America is what matters. And they don't care about how they spend our money up there. They could care less that we're nearly $36 trillion in debt. Granted, we've got Doge up there and they're finding things, but now you've got people who are going to the court saying, well, I had my money taken from me because the President of the United States doesn't feel it's a good use of what I was told I could spend taxpayer money on for what I'm doing. But is it benefiting the people of the United States of America? I'm not sure. I really am not sure that they care. These NGOs, they do what they want. And as long as they're getting paid, they do with what is within the grant that they're given. But is it the people that want that? Or is it a certain set of people? Oh, this is so frustrating because when you look at these programs and everything, they're not getting their money from you and me. They're getting it from a bunch of bureaucrats who are deciding how we should spend our money. I'm not sure that that is the best use of our money. And I agree with Doge as far as that is concerned. And then we have flights that were headed to repatriate people to their own countries, and a judge says, hey, you need to turn those flights around. Excuse me? Unless there's a valid reason that every single one of those persons shouldn't be deported, there should be no reason that those flights should be turned around. On top of that, once those flights are in the air, they're costing taxpayers lots of money, potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Why are we required to give illegal aliens the same rights as U.S. citizens? It's an interesting question. One I don't have an answer to. I know we have legal scholars who are sitting there thinking that they have an answer to it, but I'm not even sure they have an answer to it. I think that they're following their political leanings and not doing what is in the best interest of the United States. If you're here in the United States illegally, then you're illegal and you've broken the law. Is it hard to come to the United States? Apparently it's not that hard because people do it all the time. I've seen tourists from Japan and China, and I've even seen tourists from Vietnam and Korea. I've seen tourists from Australia and New Zealand and England and South Africa and Kenya, and I can name probably 100 countries that I have met people who are coming here to the United States as tourists. And that's a good thing. Are they here illegally? No. And we invite them in. And if they want to move here and be legal residents, there's a process. And it can be a little bit expensive. I can tell you that my most recent move was very expensive, but I moved onto an island, and so moving my things required getting them on a ship, and I had to pay for that privilege. But it's not impossible, and people from foreign countries move here all the time. We offer visas to people who want to work here, and we're providing them with high paying jobs that allow them to have a lifestyle that is beyond what some people in the United States who were born here have. Granted, not everybody who is born here wants to do the things that it takes to have that kind of lifestyle and have that kind of earning potential. But that's not their fault. Uh, and I'm talking of the immigrant, not the person who's being too lazy to do what they can to have the lifestyle that they really want. But is it doable? Is it something that can be achieved where anybody can become a millionaire in America? It's possible for everyone in America to become a millionaire or even a billionaire. Possible. Is it likely everyone will? No. Why? Because we're not building our society in a way where we're hoping that everyone's a winner. We're picking winners and losers. And granted, not everything has to have a loser and not everything gets to have a winner. Some things are lose lose. And that's just life. But we need leaders here in America that think about the people of America as U.S. citizens and what's beneficial for us, not worrying about an illegal alien who's trying to come to this country and worrying about their needs above a U.S. citizen. The jobs for U.S. citizens that should be staying with U.S. citizens and allowing them to go to aliens. We're not ensuring that education here in this country isn't provided in a way that when you get that education, that you can go out, get a job, and be able to buy a house. Government has done so many different things that is wrong and has built a system where one set are winners and one set are losers, and the losers are getting the weight of society on it, and the winners are getting elevated. It's like this scale that just isn't leveling off right. We need to bring that into balance. That balance is important, but we're not getting that balance. We're not getting it in our immigration process. We're not getting it in our processes dealing with our friends. We're not getting it in how we're dealing with conflicts in the world. We're not getting it in how we're treating American citizens that are abroad working for the United States or working for organizations that are trying to provide humanitarian aid. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people in the world. And that group of bad people, while not the majority, seem to have the majority's voice because they speak the loudest. They are doing things that put them front and center and make it look like they're a bigger presence than they are. And then you have people who are invading their neighbors, and it's okay for some people to go, well, they had a good reason to invade their neighbor. What good reason does any group have for invading their neighbors? It's like saying, oh, well, my neighbor has a, a cub cadet and I want it to mow my grass, so I should be able to go over and take my neighbor's cub cadet and mow my lawn with it without asking. Oh, and then I just put it in my garage because they don't need it. I need it more than they do. That kind of thinking is wrong. And yet we have people providing that level of thought, trying to fix things. Yet when it comes to how the United States government used to deal with drugs, it used to be it had to go through a process of vetting and testing, and then somebody said, well, these new drugs are not getting to people, so we created a process that they could get the drugs. Now we've got people sitting there saying, you must have this vaccine because it'll make everybody safer. But it hasn't gone through the appropriate level of testing. We don't know the efficacy of all of these things. But if you want to have that drug, I'm not going to stop you. I don't want to stop you. You should have a right to get to that drug if you want it that badly. But if you do, there needs to be a process so that you understand that you're taking a certain set of liability for taking that particular drug. As it is, we're handing out vaccines that are untested, and you sign a piece of paper that says, yep, I'm getting the vaccine, and you really don't know whether it's something that is vetted or not. You may think it's vetted. There's so many problems that need to be addressed, and I can't just do it in one simple step here. It's amazing, but it just can't be done. And we have too many people who are looking at the power they have and how they assert their power and how they can control other people on their thoughts more than they are concerned about their constituents in their area where they live. It's not right. They're more worried about people that they shouldn't even have to be worrying about. So how do we fix this? It's hard. It's really hard because you have to think about what the qualifications are of everybody. You have to look at the individual and what they're doing. Politics should not be a popularity contest, and yet here we are in 2025, and it feels like we're in high school voting for high school president. It's a popularity contest because everybody knows in high school, the high school president doesn't have any power to do anything. They make you think that they do, but they really don't. Politicians and school leaders have the power. And we get this jaded view of politics from that. And the idea of having politics in schools was good, but it's not translating because we put a high school view onto politics that means something. So, as you get ready to come into this next voting season, which is coming here soon, April usually is a lot of municipal elections, and think about who you're voting for. Don't look at them as a Republican or a Democrat, but as a candidate. And are they the right candidate? Is that candidate going to do what you need them to do to take care of what they're going to be elected to do? Because they're your representative. They speak for you. And are they really speaking for you, or are they speaking for themselves? If they're speaking for themselves, they need to go out the door. If they're speaking for you, elect them. Work on electing them. Go out and help. But if they're not doing what they're being elected to do to help you and the people in your community, then they don't need to be in office. And when people get into office, they need to be looking at the unelected people. We have so many unelected people in government who are probably worse than the elected leaders, because the elected leaders, they're trying to do, a lot of them are trying to do what they were elected to do. And you have the unelected people who are in it for themselves. It's a job, it's a whatever to them, it's power, it's, but they're unelected. And they're enforcing rules and laws and how things are done and collecting fees and collecting money. And all those jobs may be important, but are they as important as the elected leaders not understanding what they're doing and being aware of what they're doing to ensure that they're doing what's in the best interest for you? So there's a lot to think about there and a lot to unpack, and hopefully you got what I am trying to give you, and that is elections and politicians and people. It's do what I'm asking or get out of the way, or don't elect them, but don't sit on the sidelines and say they're going to do whatever they're going to do, because then you really have no say and you haven't done your part. Well, subscribe to this channel, because that's how I know who is looking for the content here. Share with your friends, and let's get a bigger following here, and let's have some discussions. I'm going to be doing lives here at the end of this week, because I'm honestly getting fed up with what's going on in the world, and I want to hear from you all. And the end of this week is like the 23rd of March 2025. So by the end of this week, I will be doing a live. Whether or not I'm ready, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it, and hopefully it works out and goes well. I'll be giving more information in the next couple days, so you know when this is going to start. And thanks so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And again, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.